across the state of Oklahoma. It's time once again for Oklahoma Sports Scene. Hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Link, along with the Tulsa Public Schools Hall of Fame Athletic Director, Gil Cloud. Gil, been a busy sports week here. My wife Becky's so thrilled we finally closed the door on hockey and basketball.
Well, you know, it's a long season.
Oh, man.
Basketball's really a long season. And hockey, but what two great finals, though.
Oh, I know it.
And to have teams that normally are not in the finals and win them, I think is good for the sport.
Got some insight for you on that. Our hot topics coming up right now. Let's look at our sports lineup. Got to start with a big announcement for the city of Tulsa and really for our state of Oklahoma. Ironman coming here.
Well, probably the region.
Oh yeah,
because
no
I mean we're looking at the possibility, the pre information we have. There'll be over 2,700 performers plus the people that come with them.
Yeah.
This is really a big deal for the city of Tulsa.
And coming May 31st of 2020, and Tulsa beat out 3 other cities and committed to 3 years, the Ironman, to be here in the city of Tulsa. We'll be talking to Matt Stockman, who is the event manager for Tulsa Regional Tourism. Gives us all the details on Ironman coming up. A good friend of yours, good friend of ours, going to talk some U.S. Open and some golf from our Flying T here in town.
Tracy Phillips, long-time Tulsan, played high school golf at Jinx.
That's right.
When I met him back in 1977. But Tracy has some insight, I think, as to why we are looking at maybe a different winner every week on the tour instead of that dominance that we had with Tiger and Jack and Arnie and all those.
In Omaha, Nebraska, it is time for the College Baseball World Series. They began on the 15th of June, will run through the 26th. We had some local representatives in that area from Big 12, from SEC, but a guy got to talk about it because he's been there himself. He took OU to the College World Series back in the late 70s. Our friend George Frazier.
George Frazier knows baseball. I mean, you know, the guy pitched for the Yankees. My
That's
gosh,
right.
that's if you ask me and Al Jerkins, that's the only team that plays anyway. But no, George will have a great deal of insight about the college game. He's still very involved with camps and clinics for youngsters about making them ready for the next level. And so he watches a lot of the college baseball, and he'll have a great deal of information for us.
Have a real inspirational part of the show. You want to be sure and stay tuned and listen to Emeka Nnaka. An incredible story, a quadriplegic, paralyzed in a semi-pro football game years ago here in the city of Tulsa at the age of 21. And his story is unbelievable, and it'll be even more poignant because this Saturday night, Tulsa World hosts their all-world sports event, which is an incredible dinner at the Marriott Southern Hills. And I can't think of any better than Emeka Nnaka as the keynote motivational speaker.
What an inspirational individual to talk to our young student athletes. And I tell you, this is a tremendous night. If you haven't gotten a ticket yet, you need to call the Tulsa World, because to look at some of the accomplishments of these youngsters who are graduating, some of them not graduating yet, to be an all-world performer, you'll be very excited to see these youngsters.
And Gil and I, who appreciate well-run and well-organized banquets, we learned a lot from them for our Tulsa Public Schools Hall of Fame. But boy, they do a great job and move that evening right along.
You'll be there 2 hours and you'll be home.
Yeah.
I mean, we copied that on our Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Because they hand the awards out while you're still eating, and it really doesn't take away from the award because you are really pointed on that student athlete that's on the stage.
Let's move to our hot topics now. As I mentioned, with summer officially arriving on June the 21st, the winter sports are finally over. That's right, finally, before the official first day of summer, we had the NHL hockey wrap-up. The Tulsa Oilers parent club, the St. Louis Blues, made history, their very first Stanley Cup ever. They did it in Boston. Wow, Game 7.
On the road, and of course, how great is that for the organization to be, for Tulsa to be a part of that?
Absolutely.
You know that there's going to be some players up and down the line that will come through Tulsa to get to St. Louis.
First cup for the Blues ever in their 42nd appearance. Canadian team, by the way, has not won the Stanley Cup now. How about this, Jay? Coach, over 25 years, Montreal Canadiens, the last Canadian team to win their Stanley Cup, 1993.
Gee, money, Chris, that's unbelievable. But, it's good for hockey to have somebody in the middle of the country, that they don't think about St. Louis. Of course, the Blues have been there a long time, but I'm excited. I think it's great when somebody who hasn't won it wins.
And the Blues, of course, had their big parade and big ceremony and stuff downtown St. Louis by the Arch. But I tell you, they couldn't outdo the folks in Toronto, Canada. They estimated they had 2 million people attend their victory parade and their victory celebration in Toronto as the Raptors beat, of course, the Golden State Warriors, knocking off the two-time back-to-back champions to win Game 6 in Golden State.
You know, the post game they talked about the entire country of Canada was behind Toronto.
Yeah.
So I don't doubt that. I think that's really good again for the NBA, and you know, to have a team outside the confines of the United States is interesting in the NBA, but they did it.
So, Gil, now we move to the offseason of the NBA, and that may be just as exciting as the season itself, especially with the big news out of New Orleans. Anthony Davis, they finally got it done. He's leaving to join LeBron James in L.A. with the Lakers.
You know, and I saw where Las Vegas already put the Lakers as the #1 pick next year.
Can you imagine that? Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't played a minute.
They were like 15-1 before any of these trades came. All of a sudden, they are the favorites.
Yeah, unbelievable.
To win the NBA championship next year. But big move, and again, of course, everybody's waiting to see what would happen with Kevin Durant. That was the big key, and of course, obviously nothing's going to happen because of the Achilles.
Well, they owe him $31 million. And who's going to pick up $31 million with a guy that can't play?
Yeah.
The conjecture was only the New York Knicks would have enough money for him to sit on the bench and come and try to sell tickets to the people in New York. They're not going to do that. No. And so he'll sit and he'll rehab. And if it's really a ruptured Achilles to the point that he has to do that, he'll be out for the year.
Boy. And that's a tough thing there. You'd think it'd be starting to stay with Golden State. I mean, you got a great team. You're going to a brand new arena in downtown San Francisco, a championship legacy there, and they'll keep supporting you, certainly. So Kevin Durant has some decisions to make, but right now that Achilles, a year off there, it looks like for sure. And it's tough with the NBA. So many things going on, and of course, we're going to keep a close eye on the Thunder. Sam Presti's always making moves.
And very under the cover.
Yes, that's
Nobody
right.
will know. Of course, we had Nick Gallo on last week, and he knew nothing.
That's right.
You know, he said, Sam keeps it pretty close, and so I don't know that it'll be any blockbuster, because I keep hearing over and over that what they really need to work on is skills and fundamentals with who they have.
Yeah, right.
Let's don't go find anybody else. Let's just do what we do. So 3 new coaches with the Thunder. That's going to be interesting, how that blends in with Billy Donovan and who they can get there with a coach that's got 1 year left on his contract.
And as we tape, the NBA draft is coming up this Thursday of this week, too, so a lot of people are keeping an eye on that as well.
I heard somebody talk the other day, Chris, about that, is that the NBA has finally got it. They play until the end of June.
Right.
Then they start talking about the draft, and then preseason starts September. So, there's only about a month, maybe a 2-week period in August where they're not talking about the NBA.
One thing we enjoyed talking about, and I'm sure watching, especially, what a great way to end up Father's Day, huh? Watching Pebble Beach and the United States Open Golf Championship. What a great tournament.
I tell you, and Gary Woodland, to be able to play as well as he did down the stretch for his first big win in a major and not falter. And, gosh, it was 56 degrees and the wind was blowing 15 to 30 miles an hour. And yet I heard one of the analysts before it started that day said he'll play well today because he can hit the stinger. He said, I guarantee you he could probably hit one under the table that we're talking and it go 200 yards because he had that low trajectory. And when you play out there, on the ocean, you better keep it down because it'll blow for all.
And we had a great performance by Victor Hovland, the Oklahoma State amateur. We'll talk much more about that with a very special guest coming up from a good group here in town with us.
Tracy Phillips will be with us, and Tracy has a great background in golf, and he'll be able to give us some insight, I think, as to why we don't see the same players every week winning. And he's with that outfit here that does a great job in Tulsa. All these guys can go and play golf and not get the wives upset being 5 hours of golf, right? Well, he can be out there for an hour and get all the shots in you want to. Play any course. Flying tee. They had the video courses, and so they can play any course. So it's really, really a great opportunity, I think, for somebody to stay involved with golf and yet have a good time and have a family night out. FIFA Women's World Cup underway in France. It continues until July the 7th. American team's off to a great start. The U.S. women routed their first opponent, Thailand, 13-0. Then they came back and beat Chile 3-0 as they continue their push there. Roughneck Soccer, not so much right now. We're now on a winless streak up to 7. 4, 6, and 5. And, they got to get it together, get ready to make this run the second half of the season. College Baseball World Series is on now, going on through the 26th of this month. We'll be talking more of that with George Frazier, a special guest coming up with us on Oklahoma Sports Scene. When we come back, we're going to talk Tulsa Phillips baseball. Stay with us.
Cheers. y'all, how's everything tasting?
That is awesome.
I come bearing gifts of the liquid variety.
Bricktown Brewery, come and get it.
At Rogers State University, we keep things personal.
It all starts here.
We make sure our graduates get the most out of their education.
RSU has campuses in Claremore, Bartlesville, and Pryor, with on-campus housing and a wide variety of programs to suit your needs.
It all starts here.
Rogers State University.
Second half of the Texas League baseball season is underway, and first half couldn't have ended quick enough for the Tulsa Drillers. Tried like crazy, just could not catch Arkansas.
You know, they couldn't, and Arkansas is pretty well stocked with players,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And I think you look at what the Drillers are trying to accomplish. The coach, Matt Hennessy, does a great job of teaching kids how to play the game as a professional.
Right.
And I think that's his job. Winning championships, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But he wants to get them ready for the next level. I was over in Oklahoma City Monday of last week for the athletic directors state convention, and we went to the Oklahoma City Dodgers game that night.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different. You can see the athletes are just a little bit bigger,
Right.
you know. But I had an interesting. The guy, the general manager, came up in our suite that we were in and talked about it, and he said, you know, you see more people in Tulsa who are going to go to the majors than you do in Oklahoma City, because the guys in Oklahoma City are a little bit older and they're just not quite there yet.
Right.
So we have a great opportunity to see good players here in Tulsa.
Well, the Drillers finished the first half 32-30, 7.5 back of Arkansas. But now they wiped the slate clean. Of course, that's when Tulsa made their big charge last year and then won the Texas League Championship. Of course, the big event coming up, we're all excited about this summer, is going to be the All-Star Game coming up at One Oak Field. Coach, I'll be looking forward to that.
You know, and if you want to see the prospects from across the United States in AA baseball, they'll be in Tulsa on that day. That's a tremendous feather, I think, in the Drillers' hat to get that to come to Tulsa.
We'll have more coming up with the Drillers, of course, and talk more about the All-Star Game as well. And be sure to stay with us, because coming up a very motivational moment in this show. Nnaka, the all-world sports keynote speaker, joins us for a very special section on Oklahoma sports scene.
The service is amazing.
Food's delicious.
I love the avocado fries.
I love the energy.
Local beer, great food, truly friendly service.
Look all right for you?
Bricktown Brewery, come and get it.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Sports Scene. Our special guest this segment is Emeka Nnaka. Emeka is an outstanding motivational speaker. He'll be with us on Saturday night at the All World Awards. And Emeka, we're glad to have you here.
Hey, blessed to be here.
Mac, I tell you, you made such a great impression on so many people, but let's go back, and I remember covering you in semi-pro football, that incident that left you in this chair as a quadriplegic. Talk about this in the career.
Man, so back when I was 21, I played for the semi-pro team, and for me, this team represented a new beginning, only because when I was in school, academia was not my strong suit.
Yeah. And
so sports was. And being able to, play this sport at an elite level and being able to, see, when we won a championship and I knew that we were about to win another one, that for me was like a way out. And then, one day on the field, my life changed forever. And I can tell you that it's not something that you prepare for, breaking my neck on the football field at age 21 was not in my life plans. And man, I can tell you that after getting out the hospital and just going through some of the darkest times of my life, it really pushed me into a place where I had to ask myself, was this going to make me or was it going to break me? And I chose the former.
I tell you what inspiration you've been to a lot of people because you fought back from that. At that moment, when you're laying on the field, what did you think?
So what's funny is that when the accident happened, impact, boom, I'm down, my inclination is to get up. And I couldn't, and what it felt like, and the way I describe it is it felt like someone just hit my funny bone. And so my teammates are asking me to get up, and I'm telling them, give me a second. And second turned to 5, 10, and everyone knew that something wasn't right. I still didn't really have, I didn't know that it was as serious as it was. And at one point, the trainers are holding my foot up and they're asking me, can you feel this? And I could not feel it. And things really didn't become dire until they were taking me to the ambulance. And as an athlete, I'm trying to let everybody know I'm okay, and wave, thumbs up, and I couldn't do anything. And that was when I was, asking myself, is everything gonna be okay? And so subsequently got to the hospital, they cut everything off, underwent surgery. The next day it was, still just it was hard. I mean, just, my brain is telling me to get up, but my body is not listening. And that was very weird. Yeah, it's crazy.
I know a big part of your rehab, you've been such a great person for the center, that Center for Individual Physical Challenges. They do a great job here in Tulsa. We've had a number of their events and cover and work with them and stuff too. And Lori and the whole group out there does a great job. And you've been, I know you got a lot from them, but you've given a lot back to them as well.
Let me tell you about the center. That place literally saved my life. Because I found myself, when I got out of the hospital, that is when the fight started. It wasn't when I got hurt. It's when you get out of the hospital and you've left all of the things that are supposed to help you be better. And it was an adjustment. And I didn't know what to do, how to work the body. And then I found the center and the people there, the equipment there. It was really what helped turn things around, because up until that point, I'm a guy in a wheelchair now. I have nothing to give. And when I got to the center, they saw me as just a Mecca. And that was more important than anything for me to kind of get my own identity back. And it's what led me to start going back out into schools and going back to school and everything else.
How did you get into the public speaking?
I just talk a lot. Honestly, it's one of those things where you're growing up, people don't appreciate the gift that you have when you're a kid. It's like, oh, that kid's disruptive. That kid's a class clown.
Yeah.
Then you grow up and it's like, all right, people kept asking me, what happened? And, telling my story was hard at first because I had to face it. And after a while of telling it and not letting it have power over me, I gained power over it and started using it to help inspire people. Hey, I realized that I have gone through some dark times, but I am looking and actively searching for the light. And now that I've found I'm drawing on other people, I talk about hope a lot because I borrowed hope from a lot of people. And me speaking about my story was a way of me giving it back. And so, honestly, I was working with kids, leading a small group, and someone said, hey, have you ever thought about being a speaker? And I'm like, no. And now I started to look for it and started looking for opportunities to go speak more, and it just grew.
You have so many fans, including one very prominent national fan with their own talk show. Ellen DeGeneres just is in love with you, Emeka. Talk about your appearance on Ellen's show and the impact that had.
So it's crazy because, you know, a lot of people will come up to me and say, man, you know, I've always wanted to go to the show. I'd love to, you know, I'd love to get on the Ellen show. Then people ask, like, so how did you get there? I was like, ooh. I went through, you know, I went through some things to get there. So last year I had a series of unfortunate events, beginning with beginning with my van that I drive. I got into a car accident and it was totaled. 2 weeks after that, my father fell and broke his ankle, and then 2 weeks after that, our apartment caught on fire. And so it was one thing after the other. And if my accident in itself has taught me anything, it has taught me that dark times do not last. You know, and it's one of those cliche things, but tough people do. Yeah. And so I realized, like, you know what, this is just circumstances. And if I can hold on, something good has got to come out of this. And so I really just wanted to carry the burden with grace. And in doing so, people were writing in letters, and it got all the way to California. They reached out to me and told me that they wanted to do a YouTube show. So I was like, all right, cool. You know, if Ellen DeGeneres' show says, hey, we want you to come out and do it, you go. Yeah. And so I went, and they surprised me on the show. She gifted me with $100,000. I was able to use that to buy my van, a new van. And life has been good ever since. I'm, back on the streets doing what I love to do, which is talking to people.
Well, we don't have $100,000, but we do have
a Bricktown
gift
$25 card.
All right. Hey, enjoy that, Emeka.
Yeah, y'all know the way to my heart, and it's through food.
He's a good eater, believe me. We've seen a lot of places like that, and I tell you, I can't imagine a better motivational speaker, the keynote speaker, this Saturday, June 22nd, at the Marriott Southern Hills. It is the Tulsa World's All-World Sports Awards. It's going to be a very special night, Gil.
It should be, and I tell you, we have a lot of Tulsa kids that will really look up to your words on Saturday night. I think it's the metro area, and what Tulsa World has done with this program is really, really good for our kids.
If you're looking for a speaker, Nnaka.com or livebeyondlabels.com, I am available. I enjoy doing what I love.
He'll lift you up, believe me. Fantastic. Emeka, great to see you again, my friend.
Hey, same.
Take care, pal. All the best. Nnaka, and get out there and support him, of course, not only with the Tulsa World's All-World Sports Awards this Saturday, but also, of course, as he mentioned, that address is
Nnaka.com or livebeyondlabels.com.
Stay with us. More on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
At Rogers State University, we keep things personal.
It all starts here.
We make sure our graduates get the most out of their education.
RSU has campuses in Claremore, Bartlesville, and Pryor, with on-campus housing and a wide variety of programs to suit your needs.
It all starts here.
Rogers State University.
At Bricktown Brewery, we're known for our famous original craft beers like Single String Stout and Bluesberry Ale. Did you know we also brew our own root beer at our Oklahoma City brewhouse? It's called Attaboy Root Beer, and you'll love it no matter what your age. Just ask for a Bricktown Kids menu with all the favorites for our guests 12 and under. Bricktown Brewery opens every day at 11 a.m.
Well, the city of Tulsa, the state of Oklahoma is abuzz when they got the word that the Ironman is coming to Tulsa. Talk more about that is Matt Stockman. He's the Tulsa Regional Tourism Events Manager. And I know, Matt, you and your crew have been working on this for some time now. Congratulations to get the Ironman. What a big event this is for Tulsa and for the state of Oklahoma.
Thank you. We're really excited to have it. This is an international event that will really help put Tulsa on the international map and really draw people to the community.
Let's talk about the events that you'll have and the locations, the venues for those events.
Yes, sir. So Ironman competition's made up of 3 events throughout the day. They do a 2.4 mile swim, a 112.8 mile bike ride, and then run a full marathon of 26.2 miles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's a lot. So our different venues for the day are going to be, they're actually going to swim at Keystone Harbor out at Keystone Lake in Manford. Then they will bike their way through the Osage Hills back to downtown Tulsa to the OSU Tulsa campus for their next transition area. And then we're going to run through the Tulsa Arts District down to River Parks Trail, run out the trail and back and do a loop on that, and then come back into downtown for the finish at Guthrie Green.
Wow.
Ew, that's quite a route.
It really is. So we'll kick off that morning about 6:25, and the last athlete doesn't come in till midnight that night.
We're talking about the last day in May the 31st of 2020. What's exciting about this is we actually had to beat out 3 other cities, right, to get this event.
We did. So throughout this bid process, we were competing. There were 4 cities total: Tulsa, Memphis, Des Moines, and Fayetteville, Arkansas. And we came down, we were the final 4 cities going through this process. And really, Tulsa had what Ironman wanted. We presented the best bid plus our active community that we already have, our cycling groups, our running groups, our swimming groups. We're already really involved and important to these people, to the Ironman folks. And so it was a perfect fit.
You know, when you put an event like this on, Matt, how many volunteers are you going to need to be able to put it on?
So that's the thing. We will actually be recruiting 2,000 volunteers for this event. And so we encourage anyone that's interested or wants to get involved, if they go to visittulsa.com/Ironman, they can input their information now, capture that information, and then when we get the volunteer page finished, we'll send them out and let them sign up. And we're also going to be talking not only for volunteers for operations, but also volunteers for out on the run course. You know, as we go down River Parks Trail and come back up, we really want to fill that area with excitement and really cheer these athletes on, because, I mean, as I mentioned, the first athlete might finish as early as 3 or 4 in the afternoon, but that last athlete isn't coming in until midnight. And they will have started at 6:30 that morning, 6:25.
Let me ask you about this. We've seen quite a bit of conjecture about an $8 million renovation of River Parks. Is this trail going through River Parks?
This trail, this will be, as of right now, it'll go down Riverside, either down the trail or on the road. We're still working out details with the River Parks Authority, but we will run down Riverside.
The Ironman is saying this is their first new event in North America since 2014. They're expecting 2,500 competitors. Is that right?
25 to 2,750.
Wow.
Competitors, as well as each competitor brings 3 to 4 people. So we're talking at over 10,000 people just coming in for this event with an economic impact of over $13 million.
Wow.
Well, I guarantee you. Now, have we done our due diligence with all the hotels and motels?
Oh, yes. We've already have them. And what's really neat about this event is also being partially funded and helped through our Tourism Improvement District that was passed this year.
Oh, yes.
And so those Tourism Improvement District hotels are reaping the benefit of this.
Absolutely.
This is our first international event coming in with that, once that funding was set.
This is Matt Stockman. He is the events manager for the Tulsa Regional Tourism Group there, and did a great job in getting this Ironman event here. What's exciting, Matt, is they're not just coming, well, let's try it for a year and maybe get out of here. They made a commitment to Tulsa, too.
So they are, once they invest in a community and choose a community, they are deeply invested and deeply rooted into that community. And so we've signed a 3-year agreement. So we for sure have it 2020 through 2022. But also, once they get in a community, they don't typically leave. If everything goes as planned, then they plan to stay here, and we have first right of refusal after that. And just to show their Ironman's investment in the community, the day of the announcement, their Ironman Foundation presented $10,000 check to the flood relief fund through Tulsa Community Foundation. Plus, the title sponsor, Certified Piedmontese Beef, donated 2,000 pounds of frozen ground beef to the Regional Food Bank of Eastern Oklahoma.
Oh, that's great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Where has this been located in the past?
Well, this is actually a new event. So
Brand new event?
Brand new event. So we've become one of 42 cities around the world to host a full Ironman, the full distance Ironman. And so, as you mentioned, this is the first one they've added since 2014. And so we're just blessed enough to be the one they added.
No kidding.
2.4-mile swim will be in that Keystone Harbor area. 112-mile bike ride in and around and through Tulsa in the area there. Then finish the 26.2 marathon run. We need to start training, don't we, Gil? Or is that?
No, I'm not going to do that.
Takes a special athlete. I'm almost so
does.
impressed. The city of Tulsa has so many active triathletes. I know John Kelly Warren, one of our friends, the Warren Foundation and stuff, very active, and some others in this community.
Larry
Really-
Miller
yeah,
has
Larry
been
Miller,
to
that's
the
right.
Hawaii
Yeah,
Ironman.
that's a lot of Tulsa people involved.
There's already a lot of Tulsa people that have competed in Ironmans and competed in multiple Ironmans,
Wow.
not just one, and have qualified for Kona, which is their world championship in Hawaii. And so we already have a strong Ironman community here in town, and so we really want to build upon that. I mean, part of this is getting visitors to come into the community, but also part of this event is growing locals and growing Ironman athletes right here at home.
Do you have, is it age groups, or how does it divide up?
It is divided up into age groups, but any age, any ability can participate.
That's
of
us.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and me.
Yeah.
Again, we're competing against each other.
Hey, we have a year to train. So
Yeah, right.
Not enough time. Wow. Well, I tell you, it's amazing. The city of Tulsa is so excited about this. State of Oklahoma should be as well. Again, it is May the 31st, 2020. It'll be here before you know it. It's talking about how people can get involved, though, in the Ironman.
So we welcome anybody. So you can either become an athlete and go to ironman.com/Tulsa and find out about specifically becoming an athlete or a competitor in the event. But then also, as we mentioned, 2,000 volunteers are needed to make this event happen. So we're really going to be reaching out to our community, and we really want to show the Ironman staff and folks what Tulsa brings and how committed we are to events like this. And so
For a volunteer, what is the commitment? Is it just that day, or is there a build up to that day?
There will be a couple of days leading up to it, and so there'll be different shifts for those days, but primarily it's the day of the event. You know, we'll need people in Manford at Keystone Harbor to help with the swim. We'll need people along the bike course. It's 112 miles, and so we'll have multiple aid stations along that route that we will need people at.
Sure.
But then also, like I said, people on the run course, people at the finish line, and then we need cheerleaders. I mean, we really do. I mean, we need people
Now we're
out
talking.
there. Yeah, there we go.
We can do that. Yeah.
We need
We can
people out there
coordinate that
rooting.
part of it.
Yeah.
Yes. Really rooting these athletes on, really, because it is as we said, it's a grueling event, and we want to show them that Tulsa appreciates them being here.
Matt Stockman here again, their events manager with Tulsa Regional Tourism. You guys have been so busy, so much going on. Is anything else coming on the horizon you can kind of give us some hints about, or what are we doing here?
You know, we have a lot of great, this week USA Wrestling is hosting the Junior Duels at Cox Business Center. Of course, we'll have Tulsa Run this fall, leading up to that. And then we just finished up a U.S. Club Regional Soccer Tournament out at Mohawk Sports Complex. So we really have a lot of exciting sports events going on this summer. It's keeping us busy.
Tulsa Duff Bike Rides, of course, just wrapped up as well. We have something for you now, Matt. Get a little break here.
If you have a break, maybe you can go to Bricktown
great.
On us.
Thank you. I
Appreciate
it.
Matt Stockman
Thank you.
joining us here from Tulsa Regional Tourism. Stay with us now because we're going to wrap up the U.S. Open with a very special guest, Flying T Zone Director of Golf, Tracy Phillips, straight ahead on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
Cheers.
All right, y'all, how's everything tasting?
That is awesome.
I come bearing gifts of the liquid variety.
Bricktown Brewery. Come and get it.
Each week we talk about the GTR, and we know for a fact that Forrest Cameron and his wife Sharon put out a tremendous paper. Well, I brought all 6 of them today. I'd like for you to see them. The Union Bound Dairy. And here is the Owasso Rambler. And if you live in Bixby, how about the Bixby Breeze or Broken Arrow, the Broken Arrow Express, Jinx, District Gazette, and then, of course, the Tulsa Midtown. All of those, the GTR. If you haven't had an opportunity to read one, do it, and you'll be proud of it.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Sports Scene. We have a special guest from the Flying T, Tracy Phillips. And Tracy, it's been a long time. You know when I met you. You don't remember this, I'm sure. But it was 1977 at La Fortune at the regional. Perry Beaver was your golf coach.
Right.
And I was directing the regional tournament there.
Oh,
so that's
you got a better memory than me. I sure.
Every time I think of you, I think, of course, your dad, Buddy Phillips, a fantastic pro here for so many years at Cedar Ridge Country Club. Now, find some health issues right now. Give us an update on your dad.
Yeah, Dad fell about a week, maybe 10 days ago. And so they put him in the hospital. He was doing okay, and then they moved him out to a rehab center, but he got worse at the rehab center, actually, and they put him back in the ER. So he's going to have surgery, I think, tomorrow around 3:15 to take some of the pressure off the brain, the skull. That he's got some liquid or some fluid that they want to drain. So hopefully the surgery will go well, and he'll be back up and going.
God bless, wish him the best. I'm sure he even probably still enjoyed some U.S. Open golf as you did this weekend.
Right.
Let's talk about the U.S. Open. My gosh. Guy comes out of nowhere and it kills me. A Kansas Jayhawk. Are you kidding me? A Jayhawk wins the United States Open Golf Championship.
That's right.
What a performance, though, by Gary Woodland.
He did everything he needed to do in order to win it. My pick, obviously, going into it was Brooks Koepka. What a confident guy. He did what he needed to do in the front nine. 4 birdies in the first 5 or 6 holes. But Gary answered. He had 2 birdies going into it. That back nine was critical, where Gary made the 2 birdies on both par 5s. And that was really the deciding factor. But what an up and down on 17.
Oh, my
God.
God.
That was definitely the game winner.
And then finished off with that birdie on 18.
Finished off on 18. That was just incredible.
Wow.
But
well, there's, what's really, I think we've seen now over probably the last 10 years, is there's not a dominant person on the tour.
Right.
Every week there's a new young gun that comes in and can play.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
What do you think causes that, Tracy?
I think the kids growing up these days, as we've seen with Matthew Wolf at Oklahoma State and Victor Hovland, first of all, these kids are learning to hit the ball so far at such an early age, and there's just no fear. So I think instruction has gotten better at an earlier age. Some of these kids get more committed at an earlier age. It's just amazing how far these kids hit it. And so they take a golf course like Pebble Beach, which I think the USGA did a great job setting the golf course up. You notice the first few days there were some guys, actually some short hitters, that were still in contention. Zach Johnson was one of them that was 3 or 4 under. But it's still, bottom line comes down to these big strong guys that hit a long way, that have a little steeper angle into the attack, hitting the golf ball, getting it out of the rough. Those are critical situations when you're playing a U.S. Open type golf course.
You mentioned those young guns, and what a performance by Victor Hovland.
Oh,
4 under par, ended up tied for 12th. Now, he was the reigning U.S. amateur champion, so he had to play as an amateur.
Right.
I did the check, though. If he had been a professional, he's ready to turn pro, I think, this coming weekend.
He is. He just turned
tied
pro.
for 12th, the paycheck would have been $226,609. We got a snappy silver medal instead.
I'd buy some quarter pounders.
What a golfer, though. And from Norway? He's golfing in Norway.
Right. What a career he's had.
Wow.
To be low amateur at the Masters, to win the U.S. Amateur, to be low amateur at U.S. Open.
Big 12 champion for Oklahoma State.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah.
I think you're in the golf business and have been for your entire life.
Right.
And you have a great new facility out there. What do you look at the future of golf?
Flying T's and the Top Golfs, there's obviously they're being very successful. We see a lot of, it's more of an entertainment-based business out there. I don't see a lot of, let's say, avid golfers that come through the doors out there. But it's an area where you can go out and have fun. We're seeing a bunch of families come out, families and kids. it's a place where you can go out, spend a couple hours, have a great time. Music's playing, food and beverages being served. Like I said, it's great for the families because, you know, let's say, for instance, the old dad going out for 5-hour rounds of golf kind of doesn't work that much anymore.
Yeah.
So it's an option. It gives people a different option of being introduced into the game. And if they like it out there, then they can, let's say, go into the next phase of that, which go out and play a par 3 golf course, go out and take some lessons, and kind of look at some of the short game aspects of it. And I think you're starting to see more 9-hole facilities kind of being put out there where people can go out there and play and spend a couple hours. Even I think Gary Player has a facility in Branson where he built a golf course. It's got 6 holes where you can play 6 holes in, 6 holes out, 6 holes back in. So everything's kind of around a 6-hole basis there. So kind of a neat concept. I think that's what you'll probably start seeing more.
I noticed they had commercials about playing the short game.
Right.
Yeah, I
They had
yeah.
about 4 or 5 of those commercials about 9-hole golf. And
Right.
I think you're exactly right, though. I tell you, when that 5-hour thing is a thing of the past.
Yeah, it's hard for people to get away that much, and especially if both mom and dad are working, it's pretty hard. So it's all about the family these days, and I think that's why these facilities are doing very well.
We had a great going away party for Big Al.
That's right, Big Al Jerkins had
right,
the flying team. That's
exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the facility, what the folks can expect out there, and some of your hours and stuff, and what you have coming up.
Yeah, so we have specials every day. I mean,
Yeah.
like for instance, Tuesday's $20 Tuesday. You can come out in the facility. Any of the bays are $20 per hour. That's for whether it's 6 people or 8 people or 1 person.
Wow.
So you come out here as many balls as you want to. We've got games to play. We've got golf courses that you can play. So it's a fun time to be able to kind of do all of those things as well as being served some great food and beverage. Also, every week we have something kind of special. Mondays, first responder. We're a very charitable facility. Mondays, IMSA, police and fire, veterans, anyone that served in the Army or anyone that has served in the Army, they come out for free golf.
Oh, that's great.
So we try to return the favor a little bit.
We got something for you, our director of golf at the Flying T, Tracy Phillips here.
Be sure and stop by Bricktown on us.
Absolutely.
Enjoy
Well, I
it.
appreciate it. Thank you very
And
much.
give your best to your dad. Right?
bet.
Buddy Phillips, one of the best ever. Again, thank you for joining us. The director of golf at the Flying T. Get out there with a whole group or individual, have some fun. The wife won't yell at you. You can do it pretty quickly, too. Stay with us. We have baseball talk coming up. George Frazier talk about college baseball, World Series, and more here on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
At Bricktown Brewery, we're known for our famous original craft beers like Single String Stout and Bluesberry Ale. Did you know we also brew our own root beer at our Oklahoma City brew house? It's called Attaboy Root Beer, and you'll love it no matter what your age. Just ask for a Bricktown Kids menu with all the favorites for our guests 12 and under. Bricktown Brewery opens every day at 11 a.m.
I bring Tulsa's voice to Oklahoma City and Washington. I build relationships with elected officials and community stakeholders to develop policies that grow the Tulsa region. Along with my time at Rogers State University, the personal relationships I developed with professors really helped develop a skill set that would help me serve the Tulsa region that I care about. It all started for me at Rogers State University.
We're back on Oklahoma Sports Scene, presented by Bricktown Brewery, a longtime friend of Coach Clouds of mine, George Frazier. He is Mr. Baseball in this area here. And of course, a great career at OU, great Major League Baseball pitching career, great broadcasting career with the Colorado Rockies, now with Fox TV doing OU baseball and Big 12 baseball. George, welcome.
Great,
Oklahoma
thanks.
Sports
Great
Scene.
to be here.
Good
Good
to
to
have
see
you
you
guys.
guys.
You
Good to
bet.
see y'all.
Wow, what a baseball season. College World Series underway. And it's a shame. I thought we might get Oklahoma State in there. Not quite, though.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it was a great series at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
That's a tough place to play.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing blows faster than tumbleweed down there is baseballs. And it's a great home run ballpark. It's an AstroTurf ballpark. It's a tough atmosphere. It's a packed house for every home game. I think they have 6,000 season ticket holders there. They love their baseball in Lubbock. And honestly, Tadlock's done a good job there.
You know, Tadlock, interesting, he was at Grayson College. He was the baseball coach. My daughter was the softball coach. So we've been around Tadlock forever, and was glad when he went to OU. He got a good chance to go to OU, and he's done a good job at Tech. But like you say, it's a baseball crazy town, so he better do well.
It has, and I think OU looking back on it, maybe be thinking, I wish we could have hung on to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when Sonny left and went to Auburn,
Sonny,
they brought Pete in, and Pete took over, and then Pete left, and now Skip's there, and it's in great hands with Skip. It's just going to take time to get it back where we need it.
Right.
You experienced that College World Series, took the Sooners there in '76. Talk about that experience in Omaha.
Winfield shut us out 1-0. Beat Todd 1-0 in 11 innings. To think about that Dave, Winfield Hall of Famer in baseball, and Jackson Todd went to Hale High School here at Rogers. And played over there. Was a great high school pitcher, great college pitcher. I think it goes so quick. It's kind of like the regular World Series. I had a chance to be in a couple of those. That it goes so fast, and it's over, and you're flying home like, what happened? You know, it's over, and I think that's probably the toughest part because you have multiple friends that are on that ball club. But you know, you're not going to see maybe again every day like you have for the last 4 years as we did at Oklahoma. And I think it's kind of neat in that respect, but it's also neat in the respect that Winfield was my teammate in New York.
Oh,
a guy that 7 years later we're teammates, and those kind of marriages, or I should say, family, sticks together forever.
Yeah.
Who do you think has the edge in this year's World Series?
Well, I think Vanderbilt's very good. I really do. I like Tech's team. I felt like Texas Tech, they got to win today. The surprise, and it's always good to see. I mean, I watched all the Michigan games in UCLA. That was fun to watch. I mean, Michigan came out of nowhere.
Exactly.
But I watched Michigan 2 years ago play against Oklahoma State, and it may have been 3 because Thomas Hatch was a junior at the time. But I went down there to watch Thomas pitch against him, and they knocked Thomas around a little bit. And I said, Michigan?
Yeah.
But they're a pretty good ball club.
4 SEC teams, along with Arkansas. That Mississippi State, they hard to beat that club. My God.
Well, there's some teams that go out. I made this comment doing a Big 12 tournament. I had an assistant general manager of Washington call me and go, hey, what do you think about Young? He's asking me about my opinion of players I watched all year. And I said, I think they could go to AA and compete. I mean, I just thought Tech was that good.
Yeah, wow.
But you look at Mississippi State, same thing. You look at all the guys that get drafted out of that.
Sure.
I mean, I think there was 44 Big 12 players drafted this year.
Well, you look at coming out of nowhere, how about Florida State?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, last year he's retiring as a head coach.
Yeah,
that's
how
pretty
neat,
cool.
Coach Martin. Yeah,
that's great.
That's pretty neat for him to get that opportunity to take a team back to the College World Series again.
Well, you've been where every one of these kids on the diamond, whether it's high school or college or minor leagues, they want to be at the show. And you were there. My gosh, what a career! 10 years. I love the lineup: Cardinals, Yankees, Indians, Cubs, and Twins. What a great career, and of course, the World Series champion.
You gotta know how to pick your teammates.
That's right. I'll tell you. That's right.
You know,
wow.
And it's kind of and I'm going to make this short, but in high school I got cut 3 years in a row.
Didn't make the
high school
Springfield,
in Springfield, Missouri. I got cut in Hillcrest High School. Dick Birmingham, Hall of Fame coach, great guy. And I get cut 3 years in a row and play my senior year. Well, I was going to play college basketball. I wasn't going to play baseball.
Okay.
And I pole vaulted and high jumped. So Dick came to me and he said, make a deal with you. Pitch on Tuesday, pole vault Friday and Saturday. I said, all right, I'll do it. So I go 7-0. I get drafted by the Rangers. Finished 5th in the state in high jump. But what was crazy about that, we had 7 seniors, 5 drafted, and 3 of us played in the big leagues. We had a pretty good high school team. Drumwright and Deathridge both played in big leagues with me.
I'd say so.
And Drumwright went on to 4-time All-American at the University of Oklahoma, along with Kelly Snyder, who was his cousin who played first base. So it was that Missouri connection that Enos took advantage of at OU. So, to get that, and I tell kids all the time, Parker and I do a pitching camp here in town, and we do a catching camp with Chris O'Brien, Charlie's son, Parker and myself. We kind of proud to the fact that in 10 years of running this, we put 124 guys in college.
Wow. When's the camp, George?
It's at WBO, which is World Baseball Outreach, 62nd in Mingo. The Jerry Jacobson, I have a fond spot in my heart for him because he does a program here in town too for a whole other show called RBI, which is Renewing Baseball in the Inner City.
Oh, nice.
So on the north side of Tulsa, this year he had 822 kids play baseball for free.
Wow, that's
uniforms, gloves, shoes, umpires, it's all taken care of. All they have to do is show up and play baseball. Coaches are provided, umpires are provided. So it's really neat to do that. And then Parker and I do that over there, and then he's the head coach at Hall & Hall right now. But I think what it is we take great pride in finding the fact that that young man gets an opportunity to go to, now maybe a junior college, may not be Oklahoma, may not be Oklahoma State, but you got a chance to go play.
That's great.
Well, that's great to have that outreach for those kids because, you know, one of the problems, and we talked about before we started today, you know, in Tulsa, we're down to 5 teams that play baseball.
What a shame.
And you know, I think, George, what has caused a lot of that is this travel ball, where you have to have money to be able to play.
Agree with you 100%. And I know all the travel ball guys are going to get mad and yell at me.
Well, yeah.
But here's the deal. It's anywhere from $1,400 to $3,000 to play on one of those teams. Yes. And you play in 7 to 8 tournaments. A lot of the recruiting does happen in the summertime because it's open period for your guys. I think a couple of things, Gil. I think if it's basketball, because I did it, I had a 45 by 45 slab on the back of my house out in the country. My dad poured an orange ball and an orange hoop. I can go do it by myself. Baseball, you got to have people with you. Right. I think that's part of it. I think, too, it's the cost, $400 bat, $300 glove. Now I got to pay this money to go play. So that's why I have a fondness for Jerry's deal at WBO and what he does for RBI. And I do an open pitching camp for those kids. They come over for 2 or 3 times, and we do drills with them. And they're great kids. But I think in what happens, as you said, only 5 schools playing in the city of Tulsa. You got to have qualified coaching. You got to have players that want to be there. And you got to have guys that want to get better. They don't realize how many junior colleges play baseball. They don't realize how many NAIA schools play baseball. Division 2, 3, 1, all play baseball. They all need players. And they're looking for players. I get calls there. I got 4 calls today while I was waiting. I mean, it's crazy guys calling me looking for players.
Talk about high school baseball and the legacy of baseball in the state of Oklahoma. Just amazing. A state this small, the number of incredible athletes and baseball players the state's produced.
Allie P. Reynolds, Mickey
Mouse,
Bobby Mercer, the guys that I've got to meet.
Wow.
Bob Shirley was an All-State Pitcher of the Year in '72 at Putman City High School. Alvin Adams was his shortstop. Steve Largent was his catcher. How about that?
Wow.
Ryan was his second baseman. Gosh. So, I mean, you know, you think about the guys that are here. I mean, the Brad Pennies of the world, the Bundys, the Bradleys, we all hear about those. John Gray. There's a ton of them that were born and raised here. And I drove by Chandler the other day, and I stopped at the old Chandler baseball club. It's just, there's nothing there anymore. I mean, the buildings are there, the backstops are there. And I'm just thinking, God, what a shame that that's not running anymore. Because kids came there from everywhere to participate.
And it made such an impact on baseball in this area. And like you said, you know, I coached in the collegiate level, and I would visit with our friends from Texas. And they said, my God, the level of talent in Oklahoma, given the number of schools, is unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. And I think what people don't realize is how many kids get drafted out of here that don't sign. I mean, we just had Jake Bennett, big left-hander at Bixby, and then Osmond and Jinx both got drafted. A kid on the west side got drafted out of high school. But, you know, they have to be able to understand the ability of what this avenue or this motor's driven to get them into college and go play 3 or 4 years, get your degree partially paid for, and go play and have fun doing it. I mean, that's what gets me.
You know, I always remember, you remember Gary Moore?
Sure.
Well, Gary Moore was a good friend of mine. And we were playing in a American Legion tournament over at Sand Springs. And Greenwade.
Tom Greenwade.
Yeah, was the Yankee
Springfield,
scout.
Missouri.
Yeah, was the Yankee scout. He said, you know, you need not go to Texas. You need to come sign with the Yankees. And Gary said, do the Yankees play football? And he said, well, no. He said, well, I can go to Texas, play 11 football games, 56 baseball games. I'm going to Texas.
I'm going to Texas. I'm going to tell you something funny real quick. If we got time in this segment, I want to tell you this. So Tom Greenway was a very close family friend of ours. And he lived in Willard, Missouri, just outside of Springfield. Excuse me. And my dad and he were to tomato growing contest, all right? Yeah. So Tom, when he retired, Stummer and wanted to make sure he'd never suffer financially. So he said, every year in January, you're going to get a check, $60,000 for you and your wife to live on. What George didn't know is Tom owned 2 banks. At a 1,200-acre Hereford ranch, and every January he got a check. He got a check.
And he cashed it.
He cashed it. Heck yeah, he did.
George, great to have you with us. We have something for you before you leave us here.
You bet.
Thank you.
We're going to get him a.
Oh my goodness.
We have a gift card from Bricktown Brewery to take care of you.
No kidding.
Take your missus there and stuff.
I'm in. I got a date night.
I know.
You can pay for it.
That's right.
And I can pay for it. Holy cow!
George, thank you,
guys.
buddy.
All right, y'all, how's everything tasting?
That is awesome.
I come bearing gifts of the liquid variety.
Bricktown Brewery. Come and get it.
We close this edition of Oklahoma Sports Scene with parting shots. Coach?
You know, I read an article in Sports Illustrated last night about snowplow parents. Snowplow parents, I guess, replace helicopter parents, where they want to be totally involved with their student athlete all the way through high school and college. The snowplow parent now is involved with their athlete all the way to the NFL, the NBA, the National Hockey League, Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer. It's great to have involvement with your kid. There's no question about it. And we have to have the support of the parents. But when in the NFL, the parent is hiring a quarterback coach during the season, when he has a head coach and a staff of about 15 that's going to coach him, is a little bit over the top. Be a great parent, support your kid, and support the coach that you've given your kid to.
Can't sports fans just enjoy and celebrate excellence? My gosh, what an uproar we had when the USA women's soccer team, seated #1 in the world in the FIFA Women's Championship Tournament, going on right now in France, thumped Thailand 13-0. Not that that was a surprise to anyone, but oh, the backlash. Oh my gosh, too much scoring and too much celebrating. Now wait a minute. Anybody knows soccer knows how hard it is to score a goal. You ought to celebrate. We've got to celebrate these young ladies. And I think back to my friend Barry Switzer at Oklahoma. He'd say, hey, hang half 100 on these people. The coach would say, hey, coach, you went up to score. Why'd you do that? Why can't you control those guys? He goes, hey, I took care of my team. You get better. That's the key. All right, coach, let's talk about your granddaughter again's making headlines.
Goodness.
What's going on with the softball with the Diamond Gals?
They won their 6th tournament of the year at Fort Smith. And unbelievably, they're 38-1. The Diamond Girls just continue on and will be finishing their season this week with 4 games. And should they win 2 games on Monday night, they'll win the league. So, and the only tournament they didn't win was rain shortened. So they won all 6 that finished, and their one loss happened to be in that. But I got to talk about Kylie. Unbelievable. Young lady has 25 home runs. She had 6 this past weekend.
7 years old, right?
7 years old. So I certainly hope that I asked her the other day, I said, Kylie, what do you want to do when you grow up? She says, I want to play professional softball.
There you go.
There you go.
And she already asked you, is she the greatest home run hitter of all time?
No, she asked her father if she was the greatest hitter on the planet.
That's a conversation. Celebrate that, folks. Hope you had a good time with us on Oklahoma Sports Scene. We'll see you next time as well. Gil Cloud, I'm Chris Lincoln. Thanks for joining us. So long, everyone.